Welcome to Tony at 12. I'm Tony LeBlanc, and today I'm in conversation with Danny Brem-Wilson Snr and Michael Welch of Air Alderney, and we're going to take a look at the airline's plans for the future following their Alderney hangar presentation on the 19th of November. Gentlemen, good to see you both.
Yeah, good to see you too, Tony.
Good to see you.
Can we start off with a brief history of Air Alderney, because it seems to be an organisation that's been around for a little while, and it's linked to Wessex Aviation. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I think, as you say, yes, the founding company, if you like, is Wessex Aviation. Yeah, it has over the years it's worked all over the world, so delivering aviation services, to government, some to charter, that sort of work. So yeah, there's a long history there for Wessex Aviation.
So it's got a pedigree.
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, as you can see. No.
Well, I know he and I are of a similar age, so there we are. Looking at Air Alderney, what sort of cost does it take to actually set up an operation? Because presumably you've got a lot of it in place already, haven't you?
Well, we've been in Biggin Hill for 20 odd years.
Yeah.
We've been based in West Africa for 20 or 30 years. We've been out India, Bahamas, doing various work for governments, and so I think we can say we know aviation.
Yeah. But in terms of Air Alderney, I mean, you've got the hardware there already, haven't you? In the terms of the planes and everything.
We have. That's correct. I think going back to your question, you can probably say a good part of £3 to £4 million has been spent to get to this stage.
Mm-hmm.
And as you say, despite what some people sadly will say, it's a very serious and expensive industry to be in. And we certainly wouldn't be here unless it had significant financial backing that's already gone in to this point and will continue to go in. See, as you can imagine, I think some of the claims we hear is that it's a fledgling startup, them sort of things, which obviously, as you can tell for yourself, we've all been in this game a long time.
Yeah.
So though the logo might be new, and the the colours might be new, but the people supporting it are certainly not new.
No.
So we know it well. But as you say, going back to cost, somewhere between £3.5 to £4 million today.
Yeah, and obviously some of that's already gone into the project, hasn't it?
All of that's gone into the project today.
Yeah.
So it's an ever increasing amount. So yes, so not cheap, that's for sure.
I don't like to ask this question, but I must. Succession arrangements within the Brem-Wilson family, that's all sorted out, is it?
Yes, that's for the CAA, as you can imagine. For any agency holder, there has to be succession in place. That's standard. And trust me, as anyone knows dealing with the CAA, they had the drains up. You're not going to hide anything anywhere. So
okay, so as far as the CAA is concerned, am I right in thinking they also act as a guarantor for fares in the event of an airline ceasing to trade?
Well, I believe you're talking about under the APTO arrangement, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. A certain amount does go back into that pot. For getting people back home and that sort of thing. Sure. There's always arrangement. We saw obviously a lot of it during COVID, and the shakeout of that, where various things had to happen to get people back home as the bigger airlines started to fail. So, but as you say, it's all in place. It's part of the regulatory requirement. So again, it doesn't matter how big or how small you are, you have to comply to this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, again, you can't hide. You know, you can't say we're too small. Yeah, because it's just not the way these. I'm sorry,
they tend to notice. Now let's move on to the nitty gritty. Anticipated routes, given a good situation. UK, Jersey, France.
Yeah. I think some routes, and I think everyone knows this from Alderney as well. You know, some routes you would only use during certain parts of the year.
Yeah.
You know. So though we might mention France and stuff like that, yeah, unless there was people demanding, you know, a flight a week to somewhere through, you know, we don't see them as main routes or anything like that. Obviously, the one really to open up would be to Jersey. Yeah. And obviously we would like Shoreham as well, from our point of view, because we don't think that part of the UK is catered for particularly well. So, and obviously the other routes at the moment are already occupied. So if that was to change, then obviously we would look at them too.
But at this stage, we really want to make it clear there are no route clashes with Aurigny.
Well, we don't see ourselves, and this is another issue that seems to keep coming up. Yeah, I think it's fair to say that Aurigny is struggling a little to service Alderney as it would like to do so. We know they would like to do a better job because we speak to them, obviously. You know, to be fair to Aurigny on that side of stuff. And I think we've always looked at it ever since the beginning that one thing that's lacking is this sort of integration. Yeah, who's best suited to do what? You know, and I think we're starting to see it now with what's going on with the airport. You've got really Aurigny wants to get back to a core fleet, and you know, but then some of the elements where it needs to work aren't capable of that. So then you've got this big question mark over cost and whether that'll ever be met, or whether that's a decision for others to make. So we've always looked at it and gone, well, you need to integrate this. So you'll often hear terminology like level 3 or level 2 operators. Yeah, okay, Aurigny's your level 2, we're more your level 3. Yeah, we would be better at catering for that market. You know, as we wouldn't look at doing obviously Jersey too. Sure. Nice to keep the plane busy, but you know, we're just not suited to it, and that's the key differences. So we would like to integrate, where we support as opposed to be a competition, and you're already seeing that on Guernsey now, because you're seeing Blue Island, you know, Logan Air and Aurigny all working together now on certain routes.
Yeah, so they've got code shares.
They have, yes. And you know, touch wood, we hope that all works out, and we'd like to be part of that too, moving forward.
Looking at it from a commercial point of view, with say an Islander 8 seats, what's the break even? What sort of load factor do you need to make it profitable?
Well, we work on around about 60 to 70% is where you want to be, which is why the Islander Tony particular works, because you've got, you know, you've got 9 seats. Yeah, we stood there Saturday and we watched the Dornier, a few times coming, and on average it was 7 or 8 seats being filled. Times it went. So you're looking at, you're going, well, we're in profit at that point. Yeah, Aurigny's losing money, or that aircraft's losing. Let's rephrase it. That aircraft or that flight is losing money, and this is where you're getting all them little anomalies come along. So we're turning around and saying, if you look at the reports that have been done on Alderney, and you know, there's far, though we're an operator and we speak from our point of view, there's far more qualified people that have done far or greater extensive research into this. You know, the front was it a Frontier report? I think did one. Frontier. And then the bigger one was obviously the York report, and it was made very clear in there, that the biggest thing for Alderney would be frequency. Frequency of flight, so people knew that they could come and go. And there is weather issues, and the weather tends to change throughout a day, you know. So and it's all about having the frequency when it's required, being able to scale up and scale back down, just to keep your operation within its costs is the key thing here. And this is what's been lost over the few years.
So more or less run it as a scheduled taxi service.
In effect, that's the way we see it. So if you've got during the summer, you might have 2 or 3 aircraft on a route. If we look at ideals, so if you said a prime route, I'm not using it because it's available, whatever. But if you said Alderney to Guernsey, then you look at that and you go, well, during the summer you might have 2 or 3 aircraft working on that route. Yeah, which is fine, because the scale of the numbers that we're referring to keep the aircraft busy, so that's fine. During the summer, you might, during the winter, you might change that down to 1 aircraft on that route. Yeah, okay, and then obviously you go from 3 flights an hour down to 1 flight an hour.
Yeah,
okay. So you're still keeping up the frequency for the demand that's there, but you can scale it for that time of year. Yeah, and this is what most people are sort of missing with what the proposals are now. You can't scale what you've got. Yeah, no. If you bring in these big aircraft, all you do is lose money faster. If you put another one on, you're losing money faster. Yeah. So it doesn't quite work out. Yeah. So this is why most of us in the aviation are scratching their heads to a certain degree from what the proposal was, but that's another subject. So yeah, so that's how we see it working anyway.
Okay, moving on, you've obviously looked at these various routes and you've said to yourselves, well, we've got to do a bit of costing in terms of what sort of fare we would be charging. Can you give any examples of fares, for example, to Jersey and to Shoreham?
Well, we see them because we want to be part of this integrated transport. Yeah. Competition doesn't really work for anyone. I know customers don't really want to hear this. Yeah, all that happens is you damage the operators. When you talk about something that's very isolated, like Alderney is, it needs to be a balance. Yeah, okay. Everyone needs to be able to cover their costs, or we're all in trouble. Yeah, okay. Even the winner has got losses to deal with at the end of the win, so to speak. So there's issues in that regard. So we see them as being similar to what currently exists. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Because we know it works. So our operation is obviously a cheaper operation that's currently there. So I'm glad you've come on to this actually, because it sort of drags the PSO question into this, or subsidies, for want of a better description. So with an operator like Air Alderney, because your base costs are already being covered, and you can actually bring in that subsidy amount or PSO amount, however you choose to phrase it, into the cost of your seat. So it has a direct correlation, to a reduction in seat cost. Whereas at the moment it's getting absorbed because the operation is so expensive. And this is the difference.
So are we saying, Michael, that you could run the thing without subsidy?
It depends on what. Yes, in effect, you would. Because there isn't any subsidies being offered at the moment.
No, quite.
So yes is the straight answer to that. However, our argument really is you'll hear a lot of conversation about economic enabling and all that sort of stuff. Okay. So, well, if you're going to economic enable, then you've got to get a benefit out of it. It can't just go into keeping or servicing the passengers you have to service, like residents like yourself. You need to pull in, visitors and stuff like that. So that's when the economic enabling starts to play a part. So if, for argument's sake, and PSO is subject to the only one we know about, obviously, at the moment is the one that's in play. Which is about, the rumours are, 2 million, I think it is.
I believe so,
Yeah, so if you base that, if you took that and you based it across the current, available seats on that route, or what's being asked of it, you can see a cost per seat down around what the ferries are currently charging. But that's on their numbers. If you want to take it over a greater number, then obviously that reduction per seat will climb. Okay. But that's for us where a PSO should really be spent. It should be economically enabling, and taking Alderney back to where it was before, really. Because it's the only real way you're going to start to increase your numbers. At the moment, people traveling are people that really want to come, or have to, because they've got holiday homes, or their residents, or their medical transfer, all that sort of stuff. Well, we need to get people taking Alderney as a destination of choice. Let's go see what this special little island's all about. But we can't do that if it's costing the family hundreds and hundreds of pounds. But obviously the most important thing about this is it's not just people visiting. How about your young families? How much is it costing them to get backwards and forwards? And this is a difference. And then obviously the planes also fly in whether the ferries don't operate in. So it's about pulling it all together. Yeah, it's a holistic approach to the whole thing. That's what our agenda is, if we can. So
Now,
it depends.
what about the fleet? Danny told me that you've got a few Islanders knocking around in Biggin Hill. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
So from that point of view, you know, it's not a question of having to go out into the marketplace and spend a whole load of money getting additional aircraft or anything like that. The types of planes you've got are Islanders, and they're called Tecnams. Is that correct?
The Tecnam is the first one on the British register,
Yeah.
and it's been here for coming up to 5 months, and I forget the date it went on, but now we're putting it on the AOC to operate it. But
I have to say it was a very handsome looking aircraft, and I was very impressed. I got into it despite the fact I'm just over 6 feet.
You did
But
well.
I have similar problems getting into Dornier, so don't worry about that one. Can we talk about the Tecnam's capability? With full loads, it will take 8 passengers, won't it? Is that correct?
it take 9,
Right.
but it's not. The aircraft we got here at the moment is the first one on the register.
Yeah.
We look at it as okay inter-island.
Yeah.
But we're developing with Tecnam and the UK agent a stall version for, you know, to be level on the same level as the Islander.
Right.
You know, it can land in, you know, sort of 400 feet and take off in 500. So there's no market really for the Tecnam in the UK or lots of other places, because most islands have got small. I mean, Alderney's got. They're screaming about Alderney having a longer runway, but most of the Scottish islands have only got 500 and 600 metre strips.
Yeah.
And cater for more people.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know, we're developing this stall aircraft, which is going to be a more modern, more comfortable than the Islander.
Where is it made?
Italy.
Right. Okay. And what's its crosswind capability?
It was 25, I believe.
Yeah.
They've set
25 knots.
Yeah, they've set it at 25 at the moment, but there's evidence that will increase, as it goes into service.
Okay, and if they were to widen the runway, would that improve the crosswind capability?
No, what you do is you land on the grass.
Yeah. And
because,
can you take off from the grass?
On the stall one,
probably inter-island.
Yeah.
Because you don't need as much fuel.
Yeah.
And so it's, you know, we haven't done the you know, the track runs on it yet.
But certainly to be able to land on the grass is an advantage, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, this
but
goes.
The other thing is that we'll be the first company to have we'll be the first to have the first two stall ones in the, you know, in production.
Yeah.
When the stall one's ready, I think it's about 18 months. We'll have those 2 aircraft.
So, it's an interesting point you make about the grass, Tony, because as Danny says, though we've got the first UK Tecnam here, the aircraft of choice will become the stall type. And they can, you know, they can take off and land fully loaded, on the 2 main runways at Alderney. Okay. Obviously, strangely, though I think some of the information that's gone out is that the Islanders have the same crosswind reduction because the current width of the runway is not actually true. It's the Dornier that can't go anywhere near grass. That's the CAA ruling. Okay. So the Islanders don't have so much of the problem, but of course, if you had the other runway, crosswinds become less of a problem.
Yeah, yeah. They're piston engine aircraft, aren't they? So
Yeah.
what's the future of avgas in terms of these days of decarbonisation?
Well, it probably costs more to make a fuel you can use. It burns more carbon making it.
Yeah. Having said that, I see the RAF were able to run a plane the other day on cooking oil.
Yeah, but you find you can't run it. You have to strip down the engine after.
Oh yeah.
It's got to get out of trouble.
It's like all these things that companies do. They make the fastest helicopter,
Yeah.
for a speed record, and then when it breaks the speed record, it can't fly anymore because they've ruined the helicopter.
It's totally knackered from that point of view.
Yeah.
But there we are. But you think, I mean, obviously, avgas is going to be around for a while, isn't it? It's not going to happen overnight. Decarbonisation.
There are alternative fuels.
Yeah.
And I think you can buy them in some places.
Yeah.
But so hopefully it won't put the price up. But there's too many piston engine aircraft in the world for them to switch it off
overnight. Yeah.
Overnight.
Yeah.
There's a huge demand from it, and you're more likely going to see synthetic fuels coming on.
Yeah.
That's where it's going. I think
Yeah.
your man for that one, Tony, as you know, is David Earl. He's
Yes.
very much pulse of that.
Yes, I'll have him on for interrogations from now and again.
So you should as well. So you should.
Now, as far as the planes themselves are concerned, the Islander and the Tecnam, they'd be single pilot jobs, would they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Their license, their type certificate says they're single.
Yeah.
Pilot aircraft,
which ran very well with Aurigny for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you started with.
Obviously, from the point of view of pilots, you'd want to base them on Alderney, would you?
Yeah, the main thing is the whole situation, aircraft based on Alderney, pilots based on Alderney, engineers based on Alderney, so that it's a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
We don't want to. We want to get Alderney licensed as an engineering centre, because it won't work without that.
And would you see jobs for apprentices and people like that?
Yeah, because there's not so much interest today, because they all look at computers and laptops and these little. I don't know. I'm still in the old ages.
I think Danny. I think they're called iPads.
Yeah, iPads.
Or tablets. So there we are. But brings me back to my question here about, if you base the pilots here, as you know, we've got a severe accommodation crisis over here at the present time. How would you get around that? Buy a few houses.
Yeah.
Well, there is a. I don't think for sort of 9 or 10 pilots it's going to be a problem.
No.
Finding accommodation.
Yeah.
It's whether we can find them good accommodation, because they're summer pilots are a bit prima donnas and.
He didn't mean it, folks.
Sometimes you can't stop him.
How about other staff in addition to the pilots? Obviously, you've got handling, reservations, etc., etc. Would you say
they will be like local people?
They'd all be based here.
Local people we can use.
Yeah.
The better. But it's. The main thing is engineers. You must have engineers.
Sure.
And you must have pilots.
Yeah.
So, and they all have to be trained, because it's a single pilot. There's they have to go through all the. You have to get a certificate for you know. They even have to do a first aid course as well.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I just put it on all. I just put it on autopilot and attend to this passenger's broken leg.
No, but that's you know, this every 3 months you get a document through from the civil aviation saying, you know, they suggest another thing you got to do, and it always costs money.
Yeah.
But you know, they have to do, you know, sort of a wet course. So if it, you know, they go in the water, so you know, you end up with one pilot with 10 certificates, and some of these certificates have to be renewed every 6 months, some every year,
and
some
of course,
every 2 years.
Regular medicals as well.
Yeah.
I think it goes back to your point and what Danny's touching on there. It's the skill set that's available to you.
Yeah.
As you train people up, that's great. If there's pilots on Alderney already that are still, you know, commercially viable, then that's great too. You know, there's certain areas that obviously you're going to unfortunately have to bring people in into either, you know, you've got people trained up from Alderney, to cover them places. But, you know, and then key areas that you're touching on there, you know, pilots as one, you know, great if there's a ton of pilots coming through. Engineer would be another one. You know, they're 5-6 years, you know, to get the people that you need. So obviously ground handling is a little bit different. You know, people can be brought up to speed quite quickly, you know, on them sort of things. But there's certain key parts that you can't, unfortunately. But we would love to see a time that Air Alderney, Alderney itself is producing staff for a company like ourselves, because that ultimately, you know, again going back to, you know, economics of the whole thing.
Well, it basically, Michael, goes back to the original Aurigny, doesn't it? When Sir Derek Bailey set it up originally, and, you know, it was all local Alderney stuff.
Yeah, well, you're not reinventing the wheel here.
No,
you know, it's you're not even attempting. It's like where we're going at the moment. Someone said that circle doesn't work for a wheel. Can we try something else?
Yeah,
you know, and it is I don't know. It certainly doesn't make sense to us. You know, and as you say, when you talk about the arguments, even like the economic side of it, you're turning around and you're saying, well, the single biggest thing you can do for the economics of Alderney at the moment would be to operate a company like Air Alderney. That makes perfect sense.
It's all about connectivity, isn't it? And that's something that unfortunately we're lacking at the present time. Tell me a bit about the medi-vac facility. Danny showed us the plane on Saturday, and most impressed with it. And that's a dedicated aircraft, isn't it?
Yeah. That's what you need, because, you know, taking seats out could take you, you know, one guy would take 20 minutes, another one would take 2 hours. It's best to have a dedicated aircraft at all times, and, you know, you run it every couple of days to make sure it's going to go when you want it to go, and it depends the level of service that, you know, if you want a sort of 24-hour service, then it just increases the pilots that you need on standby. Although they can't, you know, although you might have someone sitting on the, you know, in the you know, on the shift, they can't do more. You know, they can only do so many shifts.
That's right.
Change, even if they haven't done anything. So, you know,
I think the most important thing about
medi-vac.
I think the most important thing about the medi-vac, and when we talk about that, is obviously because there's a lot of discussion about what could come in. Okay. So again, going back to where Danny started this 5 or 6 years ago, we looked at it then, and we've always had or realised that there's always had to be a balance between what Alderney has what you need on the aircraft to get people out.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can have a super state-of-the-art aircraft, but if the medical provision that's initially available to that patient is down here and that's up here, then you need that aircraft to be with you with the staff that can use it. If they're not, then there's the big question about, well, we haven't stabilized the patient, so now what are we doing? So especially with where I know there's been a lot of development now about your GPs and your paramedics, and I think that's on the increase. But you need to align them two parts together.
Yeah.
Where you're turning around and going, well, they may well, and it's a medical decision, want X amount of equipment on there. So you go, okay, that's going to cost, but that will be down for them to source. But the key thing about what's being proposed here is the aircraft is on Alderney.
Yeah.
And that will be, and we don't care how well equipped an aircraft is coming in from somewhere else. Yeah. The very fact that can probably transfer a patient within that golden hour, which you hear all medics talk about. Yeah. Okay. So if you can stabilize, get them on the plane and then get them over to Guernsey within that sort of 30 to 40 minute time frame, that's the best for your serious cases. That's the best chance then people have. Yeah. Regardless of where you're calling an aircraft in from. Because I think the flight times are an hour and a bit. And that's airport time.
And that's very vital, isn't it? Tell me,
it's the only way it can work.
Yeah. Looking at the current setup with Guernsey and Jersey, they've got this specialist company that provides emergency services. They charge an annual fee. You'd obviously have to charge an annual fee over and above the cost of running the plane for specific medi-vacs. Is that right?
Well, again, it turns around and it depends where we find ourselves in a few months with everything, all the change that's going on. Because as you're fully aware, at the moment, the costs for this are built into the PSO.
Yeah.
So Aurigny, and I think they refer to it as best endeavours. Yeah. And then outside their operational areas, an aircraft is called in. Yeah. From normally a HM helicopter's called in from the south coast somewhere.
Yeah.
So, and the costs for that, are tens of thousands at times. So there's all sorts of figures flying around. But you're right. Jersey is they've got an aircraft on the island, as we're led to believe, 24/7.
Yeah.
And that's about £1 million as a standby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then we believe there's some sort of operational cost, but we can't comment on that. We don't know enough. We're told Guernsey has a similar arrangement, but the aircraft is off island. Yeah, and I think they're doing it that way because obviously they have better medical provision on Guernsey, so that urgency that you need on Alderney is not quite the same. Yeah. So that's off island, so that will take a few hours to get in anyway. Yeah, but as I say, because of that provision you've got on the island anyway, you're already in a better place. So as I say, our point is we turn around and we go, it's very important that aircraft, whatever it is based on Alderney. Yeah. Okay. So, and the cost for that, you're right, will come down to what arrangements come out over the short to medium term future of what's required.
But basically, you'd be looking for a retainer, which the other outfit, I believe, does, and in addition, you charge per medi-vac.
Whether that figure gets stripped out of the PSO, because there is truth that it's in the PSO anyway. So it's all covered costs, so it might need to be pulled out. Which is what happened on the second PSO round. They sort of separated the two. Because they believed that operators weren't keen because it had that medi-vac part. To it. So that's what they tried to do there. So it is possible. And that's why it's not so easy to talk about costs at the moment, because you don't know what provisions we're going to have on the island anyway. If we've got a base on island and engineers, it brings your cost on that one single item down.
Sure. Yeah. Now, Mr. Zoom informs me we're into countdown here. So just to finish off the conversation, assuming that you got the necessary route license from the States of Alderney, how quickly could you get the service operating?
Well, it always takes you, we always allow a couple of months to, you know, if we're doing we're asked to do a specific job, you know, anywhere, we always allow a couple of months. We might be able to start within 2 weeks, but you know, you always allow more time. So,
but if the license came out in the early part of 2023, you could expect to perhaps be operating by June of that year, you know, quite easily.
When you say license, what are you talking about?
Well, this route business, this route license.
We have a route license.
Right.
Do you want
with the states?
Yeah. Do you want me just to get into that quickly with you?
Yeah, if you could.
Yeah,
2 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. There's a lot, obviously, on social media at the moment about route licenses, especially after Saturday.
Yeah.
You know, from what's good from our point of view is instead of us keep telling people what the position is, they've gone off and found out from themselves.
Yeah.
So you'll see a lot of published information now. Yeah. Okay. We can confirm that we have certainly for Jersey and a couple of others route licenses that are live. Yeah. I think you might have heard that they expire. Yeah. Route licenses do not expire. Yeah. They can be revoked or suspended.
Yeah.
Okay. But we've certainly had no notification. And the process for revoking or suspending a route license would involve various authorities. So they would have to tell us. Yeah. They would then have to tell the DCA in Guernsey. The DCA in Guernsey would have to inform the UK CIA. None of that process has happened.
So they're still live. They're still live.
Them licenses are still live.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and we've tried to cover this. I had a program meeting with some members of the States of Alderney Civil Service about a month ago. Yeah. Which was programmed for 45 minutes, and I was in that meeting for 3 hours.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we can't say we haven't tried.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Where they just don't want to talk about it. And what's not helping things is when they put out announcements that we hadn't applied, and then all of a sudden social media is full of evidence that we have. So we need to break this down and have a proper conversation.
Yeah. I think what it is, people keep asking us whether, if we got the license, why are we not flying? You know, scheduled flights, but you can only do scheduled flights from terminal to terminal. Yeah. So Jersey don't accept Alderney as a clean terminal.
No. Okay. So Danny, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cut you off because it's about to conk out. Gentlemen, can I thank you very much for sparing me the time? It's been very interesting. I wish you well.
Yeah, thank you. Take care, Tony. Bye-bye.
All the best. Bye.